Episode 6 of Prime Target begins with Taylor and Ed still in Paris. They need to avoid stations given the surveillance and attention it would attract, so they have no choice but to ride out on a motorbike. However, Taylor's phone is being tracked by the NSA, and given she's not going back to base, those at the agency are concerned that she's gone rogue. Taylor is not stupid and banked on the NSA following her. So naturally, she hands the phone over to a guy called Matisse from the bike shop, who leads the Agnets in the complete wrong direction. As for Taylor and Ed, they arrive at the museum, and Ed manages to sweet-talk the receptionist into helping. There are 12 pieces here, but as the museum is about to shut, he only gets to check a couple, and they don't seem to be the right ones. That night, Ed contemplates messaging Adam back, given there are a ton of messages on his phone. Taylor sneaks up on him though, stopping him from blowing their location, and the pair eventually talk. Ed knows that she's blinded by guilt over the past, specifically that car crash that took her brother's life when she was reckless and stupid. Taylor believes she should be in prison, and it's clear that her guilt is not shifting anytime soon. When they say goodnight to one another, Ed uses his phone. The NSA immediately get a ping on Ed's phone. While they work to track their exact location, Taylor and Ed find out that the museum pieces have been loaned out from a private collector overnight. Taylor logs back into the NSA, because apparently her being on the run and going rogue doesn't mean her logins are revoked, nor does it ping on their system either, and she learns that the collection is inbound to the UK. And the man who has stolen them? Bogdan. Taylor decides they need to steal the piece from Bogdan's van, and that means getting on board the Channel Tunnel. Given she's off the radar, Andrew chews out Jane and warns her that Ed Brooks is the key to everything and they need to get him no matter what. Jane doubles down on trying to track the pair down, and eventually gets a ping on Bogdan, the man who's taken the private collection on the Channel Tunnel. They manage to make it on board, and despite there being awful signal down there, Ed picks up. It's Jane. She wants to talk to Taylor, and when he hands the phone over, Jane warns Taylor off this given Bogdan is incredibly dangerous. Jane reminds Taylor that she's on thin ice and Jane is the only lifeline. So she decides to ignore that and instead cuts the feed to all the security on the Channel Tunnel. Why not just do that anyway? With the train moving, Taylor enacts a plan to stage an emergency and get the place evaluated. With everybody gone, Taylor picks the lock, and despite being grabbed, Ed manages to hop aboard and check the pieces. However, Bogdan returns just as Ed scrambles away. He makes it onto the relief train with seconds to spare. When they're back together, Ed realizes that Taylor has been keeping secrets ever since Baghdad. I needed time to work it all out, Taylor confesses, but apparently all of this was to protect him. Ed eventually turns and walks away from Taylor, not realizing he's in even more danger now. Meanwhile, Jane gets in touch with Taylor and tells her they should talk properly now. This episode is just a calamity of errors from start to finish. The show has been slow-paced and pretty cliched across the board, but this time, we get continuity errors and characters acting like idiots for the sake of the show progressing. Despite knowing that they have bad guys after them, and specifically being told to stay off the radar, Ed decides to just use his phone and reply. Not once does Taylor make a note to him not to do this, nor does she explain what's happening. Furthermore, why doesn't her laptop and her logging into the NSA database ping with Jane and the others? So alongside the miscommunication trope, we also have the classic guy who's the key to everything as well. Furthermore, Taylor spectacularly fails at her job by just leaving Ed on his own. Why? What's the point in that? But then when you dive deeper than that into the technological side of things, we learn that the train station is not a good idea because they'll be tracked, but an international busy station like the Channel Tunnel won't. The minute they use their IDs, it would flash up immediately, right? Unfortunately, Prime Target is a disappointing thriller, and even worse, it's actually boring at times. Hopefully things improve for the episodes ahead, but I doubt it. This is shaping up to be one of the worst thrillers of the year.